Welcome. Thank you, Gary. Thank you, everyone, for being here today. Good afternoon, distinguished guests, veterans, ladies and gentlemen. Today, we honor the service and sacrifice of two of our own. Michael Frank with Pegram served his country in both the United States Navy and the United States Army in the early 60s. And John Patrick Perez served his country in the late 50s as a member of the United States Air Force. They, like many Americans, served our nation in uniform, at home and abroad, during times of both war and peace. Today, we should reflect on our way of life and pay tribute to the many, like Michael and John, who made it all possible. But we also must be aware that Michael and John are not the final chapter. They were left behind. They had no family to ensure they were provided military honors and a place to rest, such as Fort McPherson National Cemetery, which they and all veterans richly deserve. That is until today, and that is what the Missing in America Project is all about. Volunteers like Bill Henry and Larry Shaver, and many others like them, travel across this great land, seeking to bring honor to those who are left behind. Bill and Larry don't do it to seek attention or gratitude for themselves. They do it because it's the right and honorable thing to do. They do it because they are our comrades. And they do it because they believe, as I do, that all veterans, whether they serve during war or peacetime, stateside or overseas, should be afforded our greatest respect, admiration, and thanks. We in the National Cemetery Administration are grateful, honored, and humbled to support this noble mission, and I am very proud to have been asked to be the keynote speaker for today's ceremony. Individually and collectively, veterans are the lifeblood of democracy. As has been said many times throughout our nation's history, when the world is threatened, he calls on America, and America calls on our troops. In countless ceremonies repeated across our country every year, many veterans discovered by the Missing in America Project are brought home to rest and given a lasting tribute in America's national cemeteries. There are neighbors and friends and colleagues and members of a fraternity unlike any other in the world. There are men and women who offered life's most vital years in service to country and sometimes sacrificed their health and welfare for us. They were our protectors and defenders, war fighters, peacemakers, and peacekeepers. They were guardians of the greatest social and political experiment the world has ever known, representative democracy. America was born in conflict and tempered in never-to-be-forgotten battles like Bunker Hill, Antietam, Gettysburg, San Juan Hill, Normandy, Inchon, Tet, and now Fallujah, Basra, Kandahar, and Kabul, as well as 1,000 other skirmishes and firefights remembered only by those who fought them and who lost friends there, places recalled only by grid coordinates or names like Hamburger Hill. Our military legacy was forged by early patriots like Nathaniel Greene, whose determination as a fighter against superior odds during our revolution are best summed up in his own words: "We fight, get beat, rise, and fight again." For Greene and so many other heroes of that war, being an American and fighting for their cause was a stand for principles and ideals, worth risking and losing everything to give future generations a chance to continue our uniquely American way of life. Since then, millions of Americans have served liberty's cause. More than 1 million have died in its name. More than 1.5 million others have suffered the wounds of war. Each generation did its part to leave to the next a strong and free America, and all too often paid the steep price of freedom with the coin of sacrifice. Employees of the Department of Veterans Affairs are privileged to serve the American veteran. There is no higher honor. From every state in the Union, native and foreign-born, they represent all the world's races and religions. As it was at our country's beginning, so it is now. Americans of every era, from our greatest generation of World War II to our latest generation from Iraq and Afghanistan. They have earned the services VA provides. From the research lab to a veteran patient's bedside, from disability compensation to education benefits to life insurance, from home ownership to homeless interventions. And finally, a place to rest, a place to be memorialized, and know that we will care for them and their gravesite with dignity, honor, and respect. Veterans deserve every program, all the care, and the service we provide every minute of every hour of every day. That is why it is so important that we at the Department of Veterans Affairs do everything in our power to continue to rebuild the trust with our nation's veterans and other stakeholders. Improve service and care delivery to focus on better veterans outcomes, and set the course for longer-term excellence and reform that answers President Lincoln's call to care for all those who shall have borne the battle and for their families and survivors. It has been said that a nation remembers its defenders is a clear demonstration of its character and conscience. In our great regard and respect for veterans, and through our ceremony and interments today, we reaffirm our belief that veterans are the symbols of what America values and honors. Your presence here today has meaning beyond the simple ceremony of appreciation. By our words of gratitude to those who have passed into history, to our troops currently serving, to our living veterans. By our support for them, we reinforce the covenant between America and the men and women who defend her. We do this because we recognize a basic truth. It is in large part the deeds of the American veteran that bind us to our noble past, strengthen us in a difficult present, and inspire us to meet the future challenges we will certainly face as a nation in the years and decades to come. So on this day, we lay to rest with our deepest respect and gratitude to two of our own. We do so with sadness for their loss, but it is paramount that we celebrate their lives, remember their sacrifice, and think of them in that regard. Once again, thank you all for coming out today to be a part of this solemn ceremony to honor these heroes. May God bless them, our veterans, and those wearing the uniform today across our country and around the globe. And may God continue to bless the United States of America. Thank you.